steps: design, experiment, execute. So in that first step, design, this is all about creating the career and the job that interests you. So it's thinking about what you really want to do in the future and how you can actually turn that into a lifelong career or job. So some students already know that. You might know that right now, what you want to do in the future, which is awesome. So our staff are really gonna help you develop that into a position that you might be interested in. But if you don't know what you want to do quite yet, then we have different workshops, different assessments that can help you find your strengths and weaknesses and match those with positions that might be of interest and might really speak to your strengths. So then in the next step, you have experiment, where you take those designs, you take what you think you want to do, and you actually try doing them, either through job shadowing. Maybe it's an employer event we have on campus where you network with people that work in a certain industry or work at a certain company, and you learn what their day-to-day is like. And then you think, oh, I really like those things, some things I don't like. And then maybe this experiment stage is really important too, to find things that you like and don't like to do. And it's okay if you find things that you don't like to do, because then you go back to the design board and say, I want to find a position that allows me to be more creative or allows me to have more leadership roles or leadership potential. And then you go back to design and you try to experiment with that again. And then finally, the execution stage is really where you take that to the next level and execute a job search after you graduate, usually in your senior year though. And this is important because it really helps not just find the job after graduation, but really launches your career. So it teaches you skills like networking, interviewing, and even negotiating offers that you might have after graduation to find the best fit for you and actually landing that job. So that's, of course, one of the most important steps in this kind of three-step process that for our students is ingrained into the curriculum. It's ingrained into the co-curricular opportunities you have at the College of Business. And it really sets our students apart because you're going to get these types of career services right in your coursework, in your classes, and with our team so that you understand the timelines of internships, the timelines of finding a career or what you need to do to get there. You're going to have that here at the College of Business from day one. So that really sets our students apart when they're going to apply for internships or careers after graduation. So with that, I want to turn to our two undergraduate programs. But first, we like to ask this question of, what kind of business student are you? So we ask students this because we really want you to think about why you're here today. What about business interests you and why specifically here at Cornell? So as you listen about these two programs, we want you to think about what resonates with you, what different things are you looking for in your academic experience, but also in your not academic experience. What kind of clubs, co-curricular, extracurricular opportunities are you looking for, and do we have them here at Cornell that really will round out your student experience? So we encourage you to listen to those differentiators and see what resonates with you, and if you can see yourself becoming a business professional here at Cornell. Awesome. So now I'm going to actually delve into those programs. I'm going to start with the hotel school. So the hotel school was actually founded in the 1920s. So if you think about the Roaring 20s, this was a period of time where people were traveling more. They had more leisure time. They were going out. They were having fun. They were traveling. And there was this need that arose for an elite hotelier or a business person with excellent hospitality and customer service skills. So what better place to train such a person at a place like Cornell where any person could find instruction in any study, right? So that then included hotel administration. And so since then, our program has become a little bit more general and has a bigger business foundation. We have become AACSB accredited, which hints towards our business foundation and puts us in the league of other business schools. But we know we still have that tradition of hospitality and service through things as small as, our very famous wines class, which is still popular even to this day. Even today over Zoom, our professor Cheryl Stanley has done a very interesting and fun job at incorporating, tasting for different notes and hints of wine in things that people would find in their everyday kitchen. So it's that kind of evolution that we see throughout the hotel school that continues to keep us relevant and keeps our students primed for careers in business after they graduate. So one thing I want to say is that all students that graduate from the hotel school will graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Hotel Administration, but that does not limit them to working in hotels and restaurants. We'll see in a little bit that a lot of our students are going into a vast array of business industries, including finance, including marketing, including consulting, because it's really that hospitality and customer service, both experience and talents and skills that they've had at that they've cultivated at the hotel school that make them stand out from other traditional business students in those industries. So at the hotel school, we like to say that hospitality is more of a mindset. It's the networking, it's the people-to-people interaction, and it's the real connection that our students have with other people while working in business. It's the teamwork and that kind of service that they add to traditional business positions. So our students will go on into technology, things like if you think of Airbnb, kayak.com, hotels.com that are changing the way we're interacting with hospitality in that industry. Our students are really primed to enter those different spaces in technology and in business. So hospitality, we like to say, is everywhere. So you can find it in a lot of these different types of businesses, and that's where our students really thrive. So getting into a little bit about what you actually study at the curriculum, we have this interesting diagram that has a lot of triangles, but we're going to go through each one, starting with the core courses. So this diagram shows your curriculum through time, so starting in your first year to your fourth year. But it also shows how much of each section of the curriculum you're going to have in those years. And you'll see that this core courses triangle is biggest in your first and second year. Because at the hotel school, we practice what's called a flipped curriculum. You're going to get that business foundation, so finance, human resources, organizational behavior, microeconomics, mostly in your first and second year in order to prepare you to take on internships right after your first and second year. So that's one reason we do that. The other reason that you'll see here is that we have some traditional hospitality courses. We have hotel development, food service management, restaurant management, real estate, and strategy. And those courses are particular to hospitality so that you can, at a very early stage in your undergraduate career, to figure out what you like to do. And we want to give you the full breadth of what hospitality can offer. So maybe you are interested in going into finance, but you take your hotel development course and realize maybe you want to work in real estate finance. And that's a big, it's a popular area in which our students go into after they've had a chance to explore all of their different options. So once you have that opportunity to explore, you then in your third and fourth year take a deeper dive into these and do hotel school electives. So depending on what you're interested in, if you're interested in finance, law, design, beverage management, etc., this is where you take those higher level coursework into an area that is of interest of you. We do have some concentrations in the hotel school, but you do not have to declare a concentration. You could just take a group of courses that you're interested in. Lastly, we have the free electives, and this increases as you go on in your career, but this allows you to really explore your other interests. So maybe you're interested in learning a second language, and you want to take some language classes at Cornell, or maybe you're interested in performing and media arts. Whatever it may be, these courses, they don't have any requirements. You can take them anywhere at the university, and they're really up for you to just choose things that you're interested in. And maybe for a lot of our students, that might culminate in some sort of minor. Our students can minor in any one of the colleges at Cornell. Some students choose to do computer science minor if they're interested in technology, whatever. Like you can do a lot of different things with these elective courses. A lot of our students also will use their electives to study abroad. That's very popular too. I think it's about a third of our students study abroad at some time in their Cornell career, something close to that. So they might spend those electives, studying another language or studying architecture or something abroad. So these group of courses you can really spend anywhere. Lastly, one other important part of the curriculum of the hotel school is what we call practice credit or job experience. So it's usually during your summer between your sophomore and junior, and then junior and senior year, we expect our students to have some sort of internship. This throughout the years has gotten less and less specific, so students are able to find an internship in whatever area of business that they're interested in. Even this year, because there are less internships available because of coronavirus, they've lessened the restrictions even more to include volunteer experience and a bunch of different things. But really what we want students to get out of this 800 hours of practice credit is hands-on experience, an actual job experience that you can include on your resume and make you a competitive job applicant after graduation. So that's a really important part of our curriculum as well. And so altogether, you've had both, the practical and theoretical experience throughout your undergrad career. And so what do students go on to do after they graduate? I keep hinting at that. Well, this is a little breakdown of what industries our students are going into after they graduate. So that big number up there, 96% of hotel school students are seeking a job, obtain one, and they go into these different areas that you can see in the pie chart. So one of our biggest ones is, of course, hospitality. That'll always, kind of be it, because that's one of our main areas of study here at the hotel school. But this is also at the property and the corporate level. So it's not just being a general manager, but it's also working in the corporate offices in big cities for hospitality. Real estate is really big at the hotel school. Real estate is actually housed at the hotel school. This is usually corporate real estate, so the buying and selling of hotels, restaurants, malls, etc. And a lot of our students go into that in the development side and also finance side. But some of our students also are just going into finance, and they're going to work with banks and stuff. And like I said, it's that service interaction. So sometimes they're going into wealth management or some kind of management role where they are working with clients on a daily basis. Because that's what they've done in their undergraduate career. And so you can see this is very, varied. You can see some of the companies that have hired our students on the left, from everything from Four Seasons, Disney, Miles Ahead, which is actually a student-run business, and things like that, even from different finance companies like Wells Fargo, Capital One, etc. So that's a little bit about the hotel school. I'll pause for a minute. Eli, were there any hotel school specific questions that I could answer?
The finance concentration within FAIR in the hotel school, and any internships that we might have heard from or heard about.
What about the FAIR concentration?
Just talking more about the finance concentration, or how concentrations work at hotel.
Oh, okay. So concentrations, there are 3 groupings of concentrations at the hotel school. One is FAIR, finance, accounting, and real estate. One is services, marketing, and operations management. And then one is hospitality leadership, I believe. And how concentrations work is that it's usually about after your sophomore year, you can declare a concentration if you want, and that means you're kind of spending your hotel electives in one basket. So if you know you want to go into corporate finance, then you would take the rest of your hotel elective courses in corporate finance. Some of those courses, too, are not just at the hotel school, but they're across the College of Business, because, as you can imagine, we'll get to in a minute, the Dyson School also has finance courses, and even some of those courses are held in the Johnson Graduate School of Management with our MBA students. So those courses are spent, you're kind of choosing your hotel electives and putting them in one bucket, depending on maybe what your career outcome you want to have. What was the other question?
That was really the only one that was hotel specific that I saw. I'm going as fast as I can, by the way.
No problem. Okay. So we'll go ahead and talk about Dyson now. Okay, there we go. All right, so the Dyson School. I mentioned that the hotel school was founded in the 1920s, and the Dyson School was founded just a little bit before that, in around 1911. And at the time, it actually wasn't called Applied Economics and Management, but rather it was called Agricultural Economics. And that's because of, where we're situated within Cornell University. So Cornell University is located in Ithaca, New York, and around us are a lot of farms. It's very open to small businesses and things of that nature. And that's really where Dyson came about. It came about from helping the local farmers here really make their farms and businesses profitable to bring their goods to market down in the city. So that's how Dyson was created. Of course, like the hotel school, since 1911, we have progressed to be the general undergraduate business education or business major at Cornell, but we still have those roots in applied economics and in agribusiness. Okay, so a little bit more about today. So I mentioned that the Dyson School is now also an AACSB accredited business program, which means that you do get, again, that business foundation in your curriculum. But it's one thing that Dyson really does well and a little bit more interesting than our peers are those Cornell Connections. So the Dyson School is also a part of, not just a part of the College of Business, but still maintains that connection to the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. So that means a lot of your requirements are still housed within the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. So our students are studying science, they're studying agribusiness, they're studying agriculture, and they're using those examples and those case studies in their courses. So in addition to doing case studies on JP Morgan and L'Oreal and all those other big names, Google, there might be a picture coming up here soon. They're also doing work with the local community and enhancing businesses that way. And we'll see in the curriculum too how our ethos, our business is a better world, really highlights the fact that Dyson is a business school with a social mission. That was something that was really important to our last dean and something that we want to highlight here. So it makes our culture at Dyson very collaborative. It's a lot smaller too in terms of the number of students in it. It's a lot smaller than the other large business colleges that you might be looking at. So because of that, it's a lot more collaborative in nature, and you also get to meet all of your peers. And so those connections can be very valuable. Yeah. So I mentioned that curriculum, which kind of makes us different. And the curriculum is even looks different from what we saw at Hotel. But it's also kind of formatted in the same way. So in your first year, all of these different years have themes. And so the theme of year one is discovery. So this is, again, you're going to take those business courses, traditional business courses from day one to enhance your skills in business so that you're ready to take on an internship. I mentioned that career services is a really big part of our college. It's really big for Dyson as well. Because a typical path that our students take is finance. And the finance internship timeline is, I don't quite understand it. It's very advanced. So students need to know, what the time, like when do they need to apply, but that's like a year in advance of when they're actually doing their internship. But again, career services will tell you more about this. And that's a key part of this course at the top, Design Your Dyson. Designing your Dyson is not just designing your academic trajectory, what courses you want to take, etc. It's also setting you up for the career that you want after graduation. So that's a really important and unique part of Dyson, to introduce you to those resources that you're going to need as you go through your undergraduate career. So again, this is really sets you up for your next 3 years in the program, and you're discovering these different industries and aspects of business that you may want to go to in the future. Second, in year two, we call engagement, where you start to engage with our Grand Challenges curriculum. And the Grand Challenges curriculum, as I mentioned, aligns with our ethos, our business is a better world. And we'll talk more about examples of where this really comes in year four. But in year two, you're beginning to interact with that curriculum with a writing course that not only helps perfect your writing skills, but also teaches you more about yourself, developing your own self-awareness and critical thinking to help develop you as a leader. So then in year three, which is leadership, you're going to be put into the Grand Challenges Pre-Project Bootcamp, where you'll work with different people, including not just your peers, but also outside clients. And what you're going to do with these clients is that you're going to help them with, either a business issue that they're having, or you're going to work with them on a project. And I'll give you an example. For example, we have, I mentioned that we're surrounded by, farms and stuff around here in upstate New York. And so one way that our students had helped very much in the original mission of Dyson was help create a farm trail with the Department of Tourism so that people could, and I even use it to this day because you can find it to find where the you-pick apples are, where the you-pick blueberries and stuff are. And you use this farm trail and it really helps to bring business to the farms and highlight everything that they do. So that kind of marketing work is something that our students are very engaged with at the local level. It's in this third year too that you'll begin your concentration. And at Dyson we have 11 concentrations. You can see them on the screen. And some of them are very traditional, like accounting, finance, marketing, strategy, etc. And then some are more unique, like business analytics, entrepreneurship, environmental, energy, and resource economics that our students are also very interested in. And I know someone asked about, getting a degree in finance or getting a degree in accounting. And so like Hotel and Dyson, the degree that you're going to graduate with is a Bachelor of Science in Applied Economics and Management. So you don't graduate with a degree in finance or in accounting or even in business. This isn't a BBA program. However, you're getting a business curriculum in a more unique way. And that's part of the Grand Challenges curriculum. So in your fourth year, you're actually going to enact that project that you started talking about with your client in year 3. I mentioned the farm trail, but there's also examples of international projects that people have done in partnership with some of the global collaborations we have at Dyson and Cornell, so that these projects are supposed to align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So this is really putting our students in the community, both locally and globally, or at home. It could be a project that spurs from wherever your hometown may be. But it's giving them that experience with working with a client and solving a problem. So those are two things that our recruiters and local business people look for in business students, and you're going to get that as a part of your curriculum. And then, of course, in year 4, you're going to finish up all your great coursework, too, with electives and concentrations. So what do students, so that's a little bit about curriculum. So what do students actually go into after they've finished this? Well, as you may expect, half of our students do go into financial services. So this is like working for a bank or other aspects of finance. But the other half go into a lot of different roles. And you can kind of see that consulting is a little bit big. And some students ask, what is consulting? And consulting can be as simple as a student that concentrated in environmental, energy, and resource economics and helps either a bank or a company or maybe even a government with financial programs assess the environmental impact of some of their financial projects. Some students go in technology. They end up pursuing a minor in computer science and info science and going into the technology sector. And then some people go back to work on their family farms in agribusiness, or they work on hydroponics, which is a really big topic in the Dyson community right now in cities. So they really, half of our students go into finance, but the other half go into a big diversity of industries. And that's something that's also pretty unique about the Dyson School compared to our business peers, is that our students are going into and doing a lot of different types of job functions. Okay, so again, I want to end with this question of what kind of business student are you? So I kind of presented, I hope it sounded like unique and interesting programs that you want to apply to, but really thinking about, what might be the right fit for you. And, if none of this resonated, that's okay too. It's all about finding where you can see yourself for 4 years and where you think you're going to thrive and ultimately have a good time, I hope. So before we do admissions, because we have quite a bit of time, Eli, is there anything specific about Dyson that I can answer?
Lots of questions about dual enrollment And then maybe a recap of career services for both Dyson and hotel.
Dual enrollment in high school or?
Sorry, dual major.
Oh, okay.
Within
So, yeah, within CALS. So because of that connection with the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, or CALS, that I mentioned, Dyson students can double major in any major that's available in CALS. But you cannot major in a different college, say like computer science. So that's why a lot of students do a minor instead of a major. But some of the majors, other majors that our Dyson students will do is info science, communication is a big one, agricultural science. Yeah. And then career services. What about career services?
Just general questions about job placement. What are the resources? Will I be able to go back home to California and get a job? That sort of thing.
Oh yeah. The career services at our college are very vast. They can pretty much help you with whatever you need help with. One really strong aspect that I couldn't underscore enough, especially for this College of Business in particular at Cornell, is the Alumni Network. And students, I believe in both schools, will meet alumni through their classwork or through their classes or through what are called co-curricular. So in addition to your academic curriculum, activities. So they'll bring back a lot of alumni to talk about their experience, but also in terms of, the traditional career fair, things like that, where, Cornellians like to hire Cornellians. I mean, so they really come back and help students, navigate that space. And especially if you're looking at a specific location, then the local alumni there are very open to meeting with students and talking to them about either different industries or, maybe even if you move to a different place, they'll help you out finding a place to live or something like that. So at least that's been my experience. Anything else real quick?
No, I think that's okay.
Okay, because I'm sure there are a lot of admissions questions, so I want to make sure we talk about that. All right, so admissions takeaways. So the way that we talk about admissions here at Cornell is we have what's called holistic admissions, which sounds really nice, but it's kind of like a puzzle where we're taking different parts of your application, we're looking for different things, and then we evaluate it holistically. So we take everything into consideration. Eli and I both read applications, and we can tell you we both read the entire application. We never stop at a certain point. We always continue to read the entire application for, uniquenesses, things that stand out, but I'll show you more here. So the first thing that we traditionally look for are rigorous academics. We want to see that you're really pursuing, we like to say, the most demanding curriculum that's available to you. And we want to see that you're doing well in those things, especially in math and science. So these are both business programs where you are going to be doing a lot of math. And in the Dyson School especially, you will be doing more science. So we really want to make sure that you're excelling in math and science in particular. But what we also like to tell students that we're looking at you in the context of your school. So, if you have an AP curriculum, an IB curriculum, advanced college curriculum, whatever your school district calls it, we'll take that. We'll know what it is. Your counselors will send us what's called a school report. So it'll tell us the courses you have offered to you. And we just want to see that you're taking a good handful of those. So we really want to make sure that your foot is on the gas throughout your time in high school and that you're doing well in those courses. Next, the things that we like to see from our students are leadership activities, activities that are creating impact, and then engagement with your peers and your school and your community. And we typically see those, of course, through the extracurricular activities. And what we like to say is that we're looking for quality, not quantity. So we want to see that you've been really engaged with whatever it is you're doing. And there's no better club than the other because it's all about what you're interested in and those different unique aspects of you and what really brings you to the table. So you know, it doesn't matter if one student is the president of academic decathlon versus, you know, the saxophone section leader of the marching band. If you've spent a lot of time in creating impact in those communities, we want to hear about them. And I'm sure that if you have created that amount of impact, then people will tell us about them. So the another important piece of your application are your recommendation letters, and we require 2 from teachers and 1 from your counselor. Your teachers can be from whatever teacher, you know, you feel will represent and talk about you well. They don't have to be from like a core curriculum or anything. We do ask that they are from your junior or senior year. But other than that, they can be from, you know, club advisor or something like that. Or if you were a teaching assistant for one of them or something like that. But they will also tell us more about your impact in your school and how you are as a student. So we want to see those as well. And then lastly is we really want to assess and know what your interest in our program is like. And that comes out most often in the supplement essay. And so this supplement essay, you have 2 essays to write. The first is the personal essay, which you'll write on either the Common Application or the Universal College Application. And that can be about anything. We want to hear about you. We want to hear, you know, a story. You know, I think they have, you know, challenges you've overcome or just an example of something that you really like to do. But the supplement essay question is specific to Cornell. And each college at Cornell has a different question. Our question is, you might have guessed it, is what kind of a business student are you? It's about how your interests and passions and goals can be met through our college. And this is new this year, but you can also, within our college, apply to our schools either, so you have to apply to the College of Business is what I'm trying to say, but you can choose a primary and secondary option between the Dyson School and the Hotel School. So if you believe that your interest can be satisfied through both schools, you could choose basically your first or primary choice and then to be reviewed if you do not get into your primary choice for your second choice option, this is only between though the Dyson School and the Hotel School. This is not between other colleges at Cornell. So I want to make that really clear. But know that we do want to see, and we hope that you write about how your interests can be satisfied by both curriculums. And the curriculums are a little different. I mean, at the hotel school, you cannot avoid taking restaurant management. You cannot avoid hotel development. So we want to see students that are really interested and excited about that. And we want to see Dyson students that are really interested in the Grand Challenges curriculum and having experience working with local businesses and clients and using their business expertise in that way. So just make sure that you're highlighting those 2 things, that your interests can kind of look similar to both of these curriculums and both of the things that the schools offer. That might be difficult, and if you're finding it to be difficult, that probably means that one school is better for you than the other. I want to touch on really quick, the early decision deadline is November 16th. In the past, it's been November 1st, but because of challenges of everything this year, it'll be November 16th. Regular decision is still January 2nd. But if you visit admissions.cornell.edu, you can see any updates that come up, but now it's for January 2nd. A note on SAT tests. We do not require SAT subject tests. We haven't in the past at least 3 years that I've been reading here. So we do not require SAT subject tests, and SAT, ACT tests this year are optional. And my advice on that would be if you have taken them, and you feel like your score enhances that rigorous academics part of the puzzle, go ahead and tell us what that score is. But if you feel like it doesn't, don't include it. And I cannot stress this enough, it is totally fine. It's totally fine to not submit that test score. We'll look at your academics, and if we have any questions about them, then we will talk to your counselor and your teachers and see more about that. So we will be doing that kind of extra dive this year, especially because of limitations of grading in high school this year. And so we don't want to hold that against you. So awesome. We have 20 minutes for questions. So again, thank you for coming and for listening to me talk for a while. You can find more information about our programs on our website at business.cornell.edu. I would also encourage you to keep up with any more admissions news at admissions.cornell.edu. And you can also email us any questions that you may have, or if your question does not get answered, at admissions with an S at business.cornell.edu too. But now I'll ask Eli to throw me some questions.
Well, I want to tack on really quickly that the SAT and ACT is probably the most popular question in the thread. And like Amanda said, it's going to be optional, and for the most part, we're test blind. You can opt in to tell us your score, but as I've been saying, what we're going to hopefully have on our end is the ability to not see it at all. We're hopefully not going to be able to, well, the goal is not incorporating that test into your review process at all. But if you are proud of it, I had a few people say that they've gotten good scores, you can include that, but include it in the section that's additional information. You're going to have to self-report your score, but I think that might be the best that we get on the reading end of things back here. Wow, popular questions. I'm totally in the zone. Early decision, is it better to apply early decision? Is it easier to get in? How will that work?
Cool, early decision. So we take about a third of our class, so 30 to 35% in early decision. It is a much smaller pool, but it's also a pool of candidates that know that they want to come to the College of Business, so it can be a little bit more competitive. However, in early decision, you also have the additional decision to get, which is to be postponed to regular decision. So that can be attractive. But I would encourage you, if the College of Business, Hotel, or Dyson is your number one choice of college, then to apply early decision. It's also a relaxation, I guess, for you if that's really your first choice, because then you'll get an answer before Christmas.
Okay, I've been sitting on this one for a bit. Can you elaborate more on the CIA program within the hotel school, or partnership with the hotel school?
Yeah, so the CIA, or the Culinary Institute of America, I should specify. The hotel school does have a partnership with the Culinary Institute of America, where students, while they're working on their bachelor's degree here at Cornell, can go off for, I believe it's a couple of semesters in the summer to get their associate's degree in either culinary arts or baking and pastry arts at the Culinary Institute of America. So it's kind of as if you were studying abroad, but you're studying abroad near Poughkeepsie at the Culinary Institute of America. But also that partnership now has a couple of different options. So if you didn't want to do the full degree program and devote that time to that, you could also go for just a semester or just a winter break too. So there's a difference between like an immersion, a full semester, and then the full degree program. And actually the immersion, so the winter break period at the Culinary Institute, and the semester is open for students across Cornell University. So Dyson students could also, say, take a semester at the Culinary Institute of America.
Okay, sorry, just finishing that one. Do you want a curveball?
Okay.
With IB Math, is standard level acceptable?
So for the hotel school, we require at least pre-calculus, and at the Dyson school, we require calculus. We like to see, especially at Dyson, we like to see HL Math, and that's because we want to see you challenging yourself, especially, like I said, in math and science. So if you have that available, and I realize that for seniors, it might be too late, and that is also, let me just also be straight, that'll also, be okay. If you have some sort of curricular restriction on taking certain courses in a certain time frame, then we'll know about that. We'll know about that in your school report. So I want to make that clear. Like if you don't have calculus, if you don't have HL Math, then that's okay. But we do prefer definitely to see HL, IB, HL Math, and calculus.
So another popular topic that I'm seeing is internal transfer. Does Cornell allow it? What's the process between Dyson and Hotel? Yeah.
Yeah, so at Cornell, if you are a student here and you want to transfer to a different college, say engineering, arts and sciences, architecture, art and planning, I suppose, then there is a process called internally transferring, which is kind of like it's a shortened application process to apply to be in that school, but it's between schools at Cornell, so the process is a little different. If you wanted to switch to internally transfer between the Dyson school and the hotel school, you would also have to go through that internal transfer process, and you would also go through the same admissions process, the same admissions office, which is Eli and I's office. So we would read your application again for the other school. So that's the only heads up on that. But you also have access to us as a Cornell student, and if you're interested in internally transferring, so we can help you through that process, and we can also, give you some advice. So people do it all the time, internally transfer.
Can you describe both the econ program at Arts and Sciences and the ILR school and how they differ from what we offer at Dyson and Hotel?
Yes. So the biggest differences between our programs are the degrees and curriculums offered. So in Arts and Sciences, economics, your degree will be a Bachelor of Arts in economics. So it's very much more theoretical, economic theory, some political theory. A lot of students like to do government and econ double major. And the requirements of Arts and Sciences are, they have distribution requirements that are very liberal arts focused. So you'll have to take a language, you have to take an English class, you have to take history, you have to take an international class, etc. So it's a liberal arts education versus ours, which is a very business oriented education, very practical, that you're going to start in your freshman year. ILR is similar. ILR, or the School of Industrial and Labor Relations, is kind of similar, and it's to arts in that it's history based and really focuses on like labor itself. So it's kind of in the title of the school. Labor relations is really the big emphasis of ILR, the School of Industrial and Labor Relations. So it's a lot of history. It's also a lot of economics, but it's not traditional business, I would say, like the curriculums at the College of Business.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, a lot of questions on acceptance rate. The admissions team, you already stated, though, that we read for both Dyson and Hotel. All right, here's a good one. Ithaca is a small-ish city in upstate New York. What are local opportunities for internships? What do students do for internships? What's the access to New York City and other urban areas? And then I have another one after that.
Cool. So yes, Ithaca is a small college town. We have 3 colleges in the area, so it's very much a college town. During the school year, half of the population are college students, and the other half are townies, I suppose, like me and Eli. But it has a lot of great character. We have a booming farmers market, both on and off campus. And I also think it's really the student organizations that make this really lively. They put on a lot of events, from different concerts, different speaker series, and things like that. The access to other cities like New York, we have, Cornell has their own it's called the Campus to Campus bus, which goes directly from Cornell and Ithaca to Weill Cornell Medical in New York City, as well as Cornell Tech, and it stops at the Cornell Club of New York, in downtown. So we do have that connection. But in addition to that, we have other buses that take students wherever. We also do have a small airport. It is small, but it is mighty. Like, it serves all of Cornell and Ithaca College in their pursuits. So that's pretty good. But we have a lot of what I would call local flair that you might see in farmers markets, small local coffee shops, you know, the small local deli, and bagel shop, and things like that. So it's very charming. And there's lots of, and I think as that question might have asked, that it is surrounded by nature. So even today, even though some of these great events are not particularly happening this year or this semester, there are still the natural areas, the Cornell Botanic Gardens, the Arboretum, the waterfalls, and the state parks that everybody still has access to. And so that's made it a lot better, I would have to say.
Okay. This is more like a general, I think I'm mixing three questions, but the culture and student activity at our two programs, Dyson and Hotel, along with, you know, student organizations, are they active within both of those programs? And then what's it like to just attend Cornell University? What's the vibe like here?
So I'll start within the College of Business, I guess. So the culture is very collaborative, and I think you like to say that, you know, they have this mentality of work hard, play hard, where they're very good students. I would say the students are. They're very good students, but they're also very involved in their schools, whether it's, you know, a business club or organization, hospitality club or organization, or even involved in the sense of making their communities better and contributing to lasting impact in them. They're very involved that way, and they're very involved in the campus community at large. I think a lot of the large leadership positions actually at Cornell those positions are held by College of Business students. So they're very leadership oriented and very engaged in the campus community. In general, what was the vibe of being a student?
Yeah. So what is it like to attend and be a Cornell student?
Yeah. So I graduated from the College of Arts and Sciences. So I was a Cornell student for 4 years. And I would say the vibe is surprisingly lively for a small college town, is what I'll say. And I'll say that speaking to a normal year, you know, I didn't go to school under kind of like these conditions, but it's very lively because there is a lot to do. And I feel like as a student and as a person, you find your niche into what interests you, whether it's, you know, a music group, a dance group, whether it's your school, whether it is becoming more involved in, you know, helping the hotel school or Dyson school grow. People get really involved in their extracurriculars. And so I can't like downplay that enough, that the student community here is really supportive of those different interests. Students have a really easy time creating their own clubs. If you know, they're not feeling it, they're not feeling any of the 1,000 plus clubs we have, you can start your own club, and that's really supported. But I feel like, especially in the smaller programs, I was in a small major, and the smaller programs like the Dyson School and the Hotel School, they're also very high touch with staff. So you have a lot of direct access to support resources. But I would also say that your peers and the people that you meet here are also going to be really fun, really top notch, and they're the ones that are, you know, really going to give you that sense of community and experience, I think, that people look for in their college.
All right, I think only one or two more. A few questions are in here about international focus. So are you able to study, you know, we mentioned international trade and development as part of both curriculums, but there was a question about studying abroad, Cal's Global Fellows. How are you able to connect and experience the world while you're at Cornell?
Yeah, you can do it a lot of ways, and you can do it in, I would say, what are formal academic ways, and doing something like the Cal's Global Fellows. And those are just special exchange programs that Cal's has with Dyson and then with other schools. I think like the schools that Dyson students would go to more often are like Copenhagen Business School, London School of Economics, but they're just, you know, partnerships that the two schools have said, if your student takes finance here, we'll count that for finance there. So that's what that is. But there are other ways that you can engage globally at Cornell. It could be through like even just a course that you take on, I think we have a course on South African agriculture, and they take a trip to South Africa at the end of that course. There's the cruise course in hotel where you get to go on a cruise. Like there's those different ways to study abroad. But also in terms of academics at Cornell, a lot of students I think that are internationally inclined, especially for international business, will take a foreign language course because those courses also open up a wide array of opportunities to connect with especially native speakers at Cornell and different international clubs and international centers and institutes around Cornell that are doing more global research and other connections like that. Yeah.
Okay, and the last one I think is work-life balance. I think I've seen that at a couple anonymous questions, and how to take on, is it possible to take on multiple concentrations or minors? Is it possible to get involved in clubs, have an internship? Can I do all of this during my time here at Cornell?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually. And I would say that you can. And sometimes it is, you have to choose where your priorities lie. But you also have to, okay, I'll just give a short story. So when I was at Cornell, I really wanted to do a double major. And then I went to my academic advisor and they were like, why do you want to do a double major? And I was like, because I'm spending this time and money at Cornell, why not get two majors? And he looked at me and said, is that what you really want to do? Because I didn't have a good reason for actually pursuing the double major, because in the end, what I wanted my career path to be at the time could be satisfied by doing one major. It could be satisfied by the Cornell connections I would make, and by spending less time on that double major, I was able to network more. I was able to meet more people. I was able to travel more and pursue 2 semesters off of campus and pursue internships while taking classes, as well as working a part-time job on campus, as well as I was a part of the marching band, as well as travel almost every weekend for a semester and a half to football games. So you can do it all. And sometimes you do have to make those priorities. But I think in the end, you're getting a really great Cornell education, and that's going to take you really far. And so, I'm not saying maybe prioritize all of your social activities, like do good in school, and attend class. But sometimes you get to make those choices, and it can be really fun because there's a lot of opportunities here at Cornell, and you're still not going to experience all of them that you want to do. But then you become an alumni, and then you can actually experience them as an alumni. So you really didn't miss out on them. Is that everything?
I think that's it, unless you were willing to touch base one more time on early decision. Should I apply? Should I not apply early decision? Will it help me? Will it not? But that's it, I think. I think we've covered most of the big issues.
Yeah. I'll end with some ending notes on admissions, because I know that's at the forefront of everyone's mind. And I do want to let you know that we are having more. If you go to our website, business.cornell.edu, you'll find more. We'll be having more admission-specific information sessions, but also just office hours. And when we say office hours, what it really means is just question and answer. So you can ask us questions as the deadlines get closer. But what I'll say about admissions now is that if this school is your first choice, apply early decision, because that gives you peace of mind that you've applied, but also it allows you to get ahead of us, in front of us sooner. So I would recommend applying if this is your first choice. If it's not your first choice and you're interested in a bunch of other programs, or maybe too, if you feel like you're doing more, or you have opportunities that are going to come later in your school year, then maybe wait and see on those so that you can add those to your application. But if your application is ready to go, then submit it. I mean, there's no harm in doing that, unless you're waiting for something to come along later on in your high school experience. So I would do that. My last piece of advice would also be, which I tell all students, also be authentically you. So it might not be that you're ready to apply right now, and that's okay. We do admit students from regular decision. We admit at least 60%, usually more from regular decision. Yes, a regular decision. So if you need that time to really put the bow on your application and have, someone proofread your essays, please, then take that time. Don't premeditate it because you think you'll get an early decision and not regular decision. Okay, so yes, thank you all for coming. We are having more information sessions just on admissions, but if you have, one question or one or two questions that you didn't have answered, please shoot us an email, admissions@business.cornell.edu, and we will get to them probably in the next couple of days, I'm sure. I actually answer the emails from this inbox, so you'll see Sincerely Amanda at the end. And thank you all for coming.
Hopefully I did an okay job answering your questions. I'm gonna keep